for his tummy to recover after
Exactly.
Taco Bell.
Exactly.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Oh my gosh, no. Oh no.
Hello, everybody. We're getting ready to record this week's show's listener questions, and we're celebrating 14 years.
What?
Correct.
Crazy.
That is insane.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Stop it.
Oh my goodness.
After 14 years.
Yeah, that's about right.
I wonder how many Taco Bell meals, because I eat them every time I record a show, just about. And that we've done that's a lot of stomach.
That's a lot of stomach. Yeah, you think?
That's a lot of
That's a lot on your stomach.
Yes. I mean, not very long, but anyway. Hello to Lisa and James. Jocelyn. She's still on hold with Disney Cruise Line, amazingly enough, in the other ear. Tell Disney Cruise Line I said hello. Whoever you get. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Alfred. Everybody in the house. Hey, by the way.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Correct.
Stop it right now.
Not good.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Wow, that's so loud. Oh my gosh.
You need it louder, you said?
No, please don't turn it up louder. Okay. Please, dear God, don't turn it up louder. No.
They're talking about building a taco place down the street.
If you build it, he will come.
My ears are bleeding. I just wanted you to know that.
Anyway, okay, so
Not okay.
7.5. I had 4.5 the other day. Yeah, it's Friday, so yeah, it's getting worse, like everything else in the world right now. So that's par for the course.
Got it.
Yeah, pretty much that.
Yeah, everything's a mess. Everything's wonderful on the podcast, though. So here we go. Let's do some listener questions. If you have questions, put them in the live chat. We have an announcement about a future listener question show. It's gonna be awesome. It's Pam's idea. All right.
No, right? I've had some good ideas.
She has.
Wait, when does John has a question?
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
No, stop.
No. John, we will not allow Taco Bell to sponsor the podcast.
No.
That's not good.
Oh, I agree. Jeff says he loved your post on Facebook today. I did too.
Yes, it was. Yeah. It was where I was at.
Sometimes I can just like, I'm going to make this week just feel it like it's Monday.
I know. I was feeling it this week. Like I woke up. So people who don't know me don't know this, but I wake up very early, like around 5.
Same.
And I wake up happy, excited almost every day to the point where it could be annoying.
And then the world crushes you by 6. No, just kidding.
No. Not typically. No. I know. So my husband actually doesn't like, at this point, he's used to this, and he doesn't get annoyed at all. So.
Yeah.
Anyway,
see, my wife is not a morning person, but like
I know she's not,
and I am. So like I get up happy and everything because I like what I do. Like it's fun. And by the time I see her, because I get up way before she does, like I've already run 13 miles. Like, and I'm just like, I always tell her, like, after you run in the morning, you feel like you're King Kong. Like you feel like you can do anything because like you have all the, your adrenaline's pumping. You get off the treadmill.
Done it all.
And like she's getting ready to go to school, and she's like just mad. Like she's just like, I got to commute. She's got to get in the car and drive.
Yes.
Fight traffic, go to school. So I'm always like, because I like what I do. And so it's not pretty in the morning around here. So she just kind of gets out of here, and I just come downstairs and get to work.
That's Hannah. Hannah.
Not good.
Yeah, she just is quiet,
Mm-hmm.
and she like goes along with her day. Like I think she sometimes tries to get out like before we're like, ready. So,
yeah.
anyway.
It's morning people and non-morning people are kind of.
I'm not a morning person. So.
It's not good.
Like Ricky, we didn't know this.
Exactly. Like you guys didn't know I'm not a morning person. So,
Yeah. Okay, so here we go with some listener questions. We got some LQs. Give us some good ones. Some quality LQs in the comments. Diana's got one.
Quality LQs. Okay.
LQs. That's what I just put LQ on the paper. Just a little inside baseball here. If you ever wanted to know, here in the studio, I write EP2054-LQs.
Got it.
That's my notes. And then what I do that for is when Ricky messes up or the dog barks or something, then I can write down the timestamp so I can go back when I edit and cut that out.
I was about to say it's been a while, but that probably just jinxed us today. So sorry. My
I
bad.
promise you Riley will not bark today.
Oh, is she not there?
She's at Mizzou. Yeah.
Got it.
I know. And then they didn't make the tournament, so I don't know when she's going to come back. We got hosed. We're not in the NCAA tournament. We got to play in the NIT, which they're hosting. So now they're not traveling. So I'm fired up all kinds of ways. So anyway, well. Hello to Pete, Diane, everybody, Alfred, everybody's here. John, Susie, Lisa, Lonnie. Okay, we got to do this. Here we go.
All right.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we got to do this because I'm about to buy a dress on Shop Disney, and I don't need to buy a dress on Shop Disney.
Let's do this. Okay, let's see here. The original soundboard. Okay, here we go. 2054. Welcome to episode 2054 of the Be Our Guest Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Wednesday to you and hope you are having a great week here in what? Hang on. I just hit some crazy button and I just.
Well, at least it wasn't me, so hooray.
Nope, but I hit the scroll bar, the scroll wheel on the mouse and it messed up the recording. Hang on. Check. Okay, good. We're there. Take two. It just zoomed in real tight and I couldn't see what was going on. Okay, here we go. Welcome to episode 2054 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Wednesday to you. Hope you're having a great week. And, of course, today is... well, it's pre-St. Patrick's Day. It's the day before. So get your green all laid out tonight because I don't even know if this is a thing, right? I mean, we're kind of coming out of COVID and, it's a different world than it used to be back when we were in school. You used to get pinched if you didn't wear green. I doubt that's anything anymore. I doubt that's very much encouraged in elementary schools, but I don't know. I haven't been... when you work from home for the last 6 years, I mean, I don't even know what the norms of society are anymore when it comes to things like that. But St. Patrick's tomorrow, and hopefully you have some green beer or a green donut, whatever it is, and you have some luck of the Irish at least. So let's get ready for that with some listener questions. So today, joining me, we're headed down to Atlanta, Georgia. The dream team is all back assembled, and one of those members, of course, is Ricky from the mouseforless.com. Ricky, happy pre-St. Patrick's Day. What's going on?
Happy pre-St. Patrick's Day. I should have put them out for the podcast. I have my St. Patrick's Day ears that I totally should have grabbed. So they will be worn tomorrow. I will be the only person in the office wearing ears, and I will be happy about it. So, but they're perfect. I mean, they really are St. Patrick's Day ears. So I got them at Walmart years ago, actually, ironically enough.
I don't know if you noticed, but as of the day we're recording, because obviously we record the shows on Monday, I have on my attire here on the video. You can go back and watch this on Facebook and YouTube, but do you know why I'm wearing this attire on this day?
I mean, I have a guess. It involves something about baseball and, probably if I had to guess pitchers and catchers or something along those lines.
Close. It does. So I have on my Cardinals jersey, which was my big present for Christmas this past year. I got a Wainwright jersey finally, my favorite.
Got it.
So excited for that. And the baseball's back. So I'm super excited for that. And the workout started down there today, so I'm excited for that. But as of recording today on Monday, it's March 14th, which is Pie Day in most places. So a lot of people are eating pizza tonight. But in St. Louis, 314 is
that's true.
St. Louis Day. It's STL Day because it's our area.
That's true. It is.
Of course, now I've moved out to St. Charles, which is 636. But
well, that's all right. Yeah.
So it's STL Day. So you got to eat toasted raviolis, have some gooey butter cake,
or if you really want to do it right, you eat Emo's pizza because then that's definitely 3.14. So
Provel cheese on the pizza there.
You're killing me. I should have totally gotten some.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's STL Day as we're recording. So I got the Cardinals jersey on in celebration of my town.
Yes.
Anyway, joining us as well, we're headed to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the home of Primanti's sandwiches, which I love. I've had them once in Indianapolis, and that place is now out of business. But it was a good day. We have Pam Forrester, co-owner of the Magic for Less Travel. Pam, what's going on?
It is a good day, and yes, we are home of the Primanti's sandwich, and that's how you say it, Primanti's. Like we don't enunciate a lot here in Pittsburgh. There's a lot of words that don't get the full enunciation, as the spelling goes. But it's just, that's our speaking turn. We say yins and we eat at Permanis.
I did see the Permantes, I'm saying it wrong, so like St. Louis, but I did see their social media accounts. They were courting other quarterbacks on social media because, Ben has retired. And so they were trying to entice other quarterbacks from the NFL to try to come to Pittsburgh by offering them sandwiches, like lifetime, contracts.
I know, right? That's crazy. The sandwiches. Yes. It's so funny. And I saw the best meme, right? You saw that Tom Brady is back and Tom Brady's back and they said gas is so expensive that Tom Brady had to go back to work. I was like, yes, that's hysterical, yes, right? No, but too funny. Yes, our gas prices are crazy. Totally went up 30 cents overnight. Then again. I mean, just nuts right now. So
dude's married to a supermodel. He can't stay home for 40 days. It's crazy.
Yeah, right. I mean, he probably has big vehicles, so that would be pretty expensive.
I would assume so. Yeah.
I did see a commercial. I mean? Yeah, I did see a commercial on TV last night of like a big Dodge Ram pulling a gigantic trailer. I'm thinking nobody's buying that thing right now.
No, I know that we had that talk about RVs.
Yeah. I've kind of always wanted one of those, but right now I'm like, oh man, that would just cost as much as my house to take a trip to the down to the grocery store. It's crazy. But we're getting questions in the live chat, which that's why we're here. But I wanted to talk to you about this anyway before our awesome live studio audience was asking about this. Breaking news over at the Boardwalk. And I think we kind of knew this, that the ESPN club, we had some inside information that was not going to reopen.
Yeah.
We were going to repurpose this, but the Boardwalk, that is going to get now that the ESPN club restaurant is going to become another restaurant, which is going to be a sit-down table service restaurant, but it's also going to have a bakery attached. The Boardwalk Bakery is going to get changed into a sandwich shop sponsored by Subway, which was
not the sponsored by Subway part,
Subway.
But that's
okay, sorry about that. But it's going to be Jimmy John's
shop.
But it will be a sandwich shop. And there's going to be a coffee shop coming off the lobby of the Boardwalk there. So I think it's going to be in that little sundry store is what I'm hearing.
I've heard the Bellevue Lounge.
No, that is not happening. Stop freaking people out. That is not happening. That is not happening. No, I've heard that is not the case. You just freaked everybody out. So stop it.
I'm sorry.
So I was just going to ask you though, is you heard this news, and of course they're going to, I think they said last week before, like kind of separate from this announcement, they're going to redo the rooms. They're going to rework the lobby. I mean, the Boardwalk is going to get a lot of love here in the next, it's like 2 or 3 years. So Ricky, what do you think? I mean, is this, I'm sad because I think Walt Disney World needs an ESPN. It really needs, whether it's on the Boardwalk or not, I think it's a great spot. I hate that that's going away. I think it's a perfect spot for the world to come together and watch sports, but we came up with a great idea for another location for this. Okay. And you will die when you hear about this. We came up with it last night on the live show. Which but what do you think overall, the Boardwalk news? Because it's big news.
It is big news. And you know what? Really so Brian and I actually had a conversation about this, and it was kind of along the lines of this was Brian, I would like you to know, that said this. You're on a Walt Disney World vacation. Why are you going to watch the game? So that was Brian. And
because you're a fan. I mean, you don't check your fandom when you go on vacation. It's strong.
No, Brian just listens to it in his ears sometimes.
This is true.
But he doesn't interrupt it. He doesn't interrupt his vacation.
This is true. He doesn't. You've got a good point. He will just probably listen to it in his phone. Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of agree. I am surprised that they are getting rid of this location because, one of the big questions we get asked, especially around sports time, football or
where do we watch the game?
Exactly. Where do we watch the game? We get that question a lot. And, I mean, there are still a few good choices. Brian and I were talking about that. And, you're going to have, I said City Works, which is a really good choice. But there's also Splitsville, which is also another good choice. So I think the choices are going to move to like Disney Springs instead of instead of having a giant ESPN,
Yeah.
area on the boardwalk, which honestly, it's a lot easier to get to Disney Springs than it ever was to get to the boardwalk anyway. So, I mean, I guess that's a good thing overall. But I mean, it does feel like with them taking it out, there is a little bit of a small hole in the way of like, I mean, yes, City Works, but I mean, I haven't been there for a game. I mean, I'm assuming they played the game loudly there. I wouldn't
I've heard it's a great place to watch.
Yeah. So I know they have like a bajillion TVs. Oh, there's also Rick's, which is at Disney's Coronado Springs. Which is apparently a sports bar. But
I've watched games there, but it's not big.
It's not big at all, which is why I forget that it exists a lot of time. But it is Rick's Sports Bar, is I think the official name of it. So yeah, so that's another good place to go if you're like at Coronado. But yeah, I mean, it's a big hurt for people who are looking to watch the game, especially if you're over in the Epcot or Disney's Hollywood Studios area. That's a big thing. Oh, Pam, do you know? I know you've been to the brewery that's there, which is obviously still staying. Which that one surprised me, actually.
A Big River Grill. Like, of all the things to survive, that place could have been.
Right?
Yeah.
When 15 years ago, it could have used a zhuzh.
I know.
Like, it just could. Like, it's not a bad place. The food's not bad, anything like that. It's part of, the Gordon Biersch, chain company and all that, famous for beer, whatnot. I think it's just been the same decor for as long as it has been open.
Like, I hate to say that. Yeah.
No, it's not.
It's kind of like the Ford Taurus of like restaurants. It's just it's utilitarian.
It has an outdoor eating space as well as indoor. But yeah, it just feels like it's had the same menu and the same decor since it opened. So I think it could just use a zhuzh. I mean, that area, but I think that this is such an awesome addition to the boardwalk area. The fact is, this cake place is not just a cake place. It's going to be much more than that, and sort of an experiential thing too, right? I mean, to have those kind of options, that's really cool, especially when you're right there by the boardwalk, which is a villa resort. When you have people who are coming back year after year to have those experiences, to have something to do, I think is important.
They're going to have afternoon tea at the cake shop, which also then a lot of people are going, well, are they going to still have afternoon tea at the Grand Floridian, which of course they haven't brought back yet. So yeah, that's a good question.
And that was the problem with the Grand Floridian tea is the demand always far outweighed the capacity of that restaurant.
Maybe this will help increase capacity and it'll give people another place to have afternoon tea. So
it's a big spot. The ESPN Club is a big spot. It really is. So, and I think the fact that if they change the Boardwalk Bakery into a sandwich shop, I think that really gives them a lot more opportunities too, because right now their case where they have food, they're out of room.
Yes.
By the time you get in your croissants and your kids' meals and a couple of the sandwiches that you offer and a cupcake or two, you're done. Like, you used up all your case space. This way, I think they'll be able to really focus on that and leave like the morning breakfast items as well as some of the bakery items to the restaurant next door. I think they'll probably always still have some dessert items. I think that's just a part of a quick service, right? And eventually, if we see a dining plan come back, it will probably include some kind of sweet thing or snack thing or something like that. So they'll offer that. But I'm excited about this.
I'm excited. Excuse me. I'm excited for it. Don't get me wrong. But I just think like the opportunity to develop needs to be on the opposite side of the boardwalk, on the villa side, like on the side with Jelly Rolls and Atlantic Dance Hall. I know that they use the Atlantic Dance Hall for like corporate events. I've been there for like a thing and stuff and I know they need spaces like that, but it seems underutilized. And
agreed.
The thing, here's my biggest pet peeve. And again, I'm coming at this from a sports fan perspective, but Disney owns ESPN and ESPN broadcasts like some of the most major sporting events in the world. I mean, and we talked about this on Sunday night's live show, which will again air tomorrow on the feed. And we had a great conversation about this with our callers and Scott and everything, but there's a lot of international ESPN channels that we don't get in the United States. Whenever you go on a Disney cruise and you go into like 687 or O'Gills, you don't see the United States feed of ESPN. You see the international feeds. You see sports like cricket because that's hugely popular outside of the United States, in the Caribbean and over in India. It's hugely popular. I get into those kind of sports when I'm on the cruise. Like I don't even know the rules of cricket, but it's kind of interesting because I feel, like it's sporting, and I want to understand, like World Cup soccer. I really don't care about World Cup soccer, but like when I'm in international waters for some reason, like
it's all you care about.
Here's the thing though. And we talked about this, so I'll only hit it briefly, but like when the World Cup was going on, Phil Scheingold got us a table at ESPN Club to watch World Cup because it was like super popular. It was hard to get a table in there. So you had to like prepay for it. You had to like have a minimum of like purchases for like apps and drinks and stuff. We got a table in the middle of the place, watched World Cup. And I'm not a big soccer fan, but here's the deal. It was so awesome to have a place where like the world, like fans from every corner of the world were in this building, like dying with every pass, shot, save, and everything, because in World Cup, these people were from, this was pre-COVID, obviously. There were people from every corner of the world cheering on their country like this, and it was life and death. And as somebody who didn't really have a dog in the fight, I had such a good time just being in that environment, it was like being at B-dubs when your favorite team's playing back home, but like on steroids. It was incredible. Here's the other okay, so that's going away. I think it's a shame Disney doesn't have some gigantic. Here we talked about what about if they made the NBA experience at Disney Springs a huge replacement for this. But here we came up with a better one. This is outside the box thinking, but it would work. Okay, here's the deal. What closed today? Or what closed on Monday? It just closed on Monday.
The Odyssey thing.
Oh yeah, the Odyssey.
You turn the Odyssey at Epcot into a sports bar. Now hear me out. It's the transition between Future World and these neighborhoods to World Showcase. And the theme of this is sports around the world. And you always have sports playing. You could have during the Stanley Cup Finals, you have some hockey playing. So somebody that's from South America, that's foreign to them. Maybe they get a little taste of hockey. But during cricket finals, some big cricket tournament, you have cricket playing. And you have all these sports going on all the time because what brings people together in the world? You have food, you have music, but you also have, I'm telling you from a sports fan, but I'm telling you this is true. Sports brings people together globally. And you could introduce people to sports. Everybody would watch it. You have apps, you have foods. That could be like sports around the world. You celebrate it in the Odyssey. It's not a crazy. It's crazy. But
interesting. I doubt that they have the kitchen facility to deal with that. So they'd have to do some behind the scenes stuff. But I think that they could. I think that it's not a bad idea. Really and truly, it isn't. And I think that they could offer the fact is they could offer some events. There, right? During like the finals, tell me that people would not pay like $50 to have a ticket in there and it includes like some apps or a drink or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. I think it's kind of an interesting thing. And then think about poor Epcot, man, the attendance there would go up.
Oh my
incredibly,
gosh, yes.
Right?
Yeah, and that's the thing is, because the Epcot experience went away because obviously most of the stuff they're previewing now is being built and opening up. So they really don't need that anymore. So they need to kind of repurpose that building hopefully soon and not let it sit. I'll be honest. Like I went in there one time with Paige because Paige is a huge soccer fan and we were on vacation again during World Cup. So I've watched it 3 places with Paige because that's what you do with your daughter. We watched it at ESPN. Thanks to Phil Scheingold. He got us that table. It was awesome. We've watched it on the Disney Dream during one of our cruises on deck on the Funnel Vision. That was awesome because again, people from all over the world. But the other place was in the Odyssey. They repurposed that place. Now, it was crazy popular during the World Cup. It was so popular, in fact, that it was like 1 in, 1 out. We lined up for 2 hours to get in to watch World Cup inside there because they had big screen TVs and they were serving apps and drinks. But you couldn't get in. Like with 2 people left, they'd let 2 people in. And that's how it worked. And it was awesome. It was crazy in there because it was like an atmosphere thing. It's not big, but I think sports would be something that would work the way they're repurposing with these villages or these neighborhoods in Future World, sports around the world. And it's a transition into World Showcase.
Interesting. So here's another out of the box idea. Are you ready to deal with this? This is an idea that Disney will not like, but Universal has NBC Bar and Grill, which has hundreds of televisions. Universal needs to be like, come over for the event, right? We'll provide a shuttle and food and drink. We'll take you over and
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Because Embassy Bar and Grill is actually a great place.
And it's
to
huge.
Watch. Yeah,
It's
it
really
is. It's big. So anyways, Universal's going to be like, Disney, you don't replace that ESPN club? That's fine.
That's fine.
Well, too, you want to give everybody, because this is it, and we're going to get to the questions, but the last thing that's going to give, the people that are not sports fans a stroke is that Disney is, they want to have gambling. I mean, because that is the thing. I'm sorry, but that's how it is. I mean, all these professional sports leagues are going to, these things, these companies like DraftKings and all these, betting sites, online gambling, and Disney wants to do that. In this, I hate to say, I don't know if they would have gambling in this place, but you got to have sports to bet on. You know what I'm saying? And Disney owns ESPN, and ESPN has all the games. I mean, they host all the college football. I mean, they have all the college football. They have soccer, they have cricket, they have all these contracts already in place, and it would be synergy. But so just saying that, I mean, if ESPN's going away, give me the Odyssey. I mean, it would not be a good replacement. I want something that's big. I like the environment. The thing is, I love the sports. I can watch it on my phone, but what I like is I love being able to watch sports with people from all around the world. I love seeing the excitement of somebody that's like, I love watching. We were at Splitsville, and we watched that game where Brady was playing against the Patriots, last year at Splitsville when Brady went back to New England. Like, I didn't have a dog in the fight. I could care less. I don't like the NFL right now, but it was cool to see like people that hated, people from Boston, just want to kill this guy. It was just fun to watch, just be in the environment. So I don't know. It's crazy. So we'll see. Anyway, so get to the questions. So we had a question.
Wait, do we do listener questions on this show?
Well, that was a question.
It
was. Let's see.
Then we went off on a mic tangent about sports.
It got back to the breaking news. It was the boardwalk,
Yes.
Breaking news.
Yes. Okay. So Diane says, have the walls cleared up at all around the entrance of Epcot? Can't wait to be there next month, hoping to see some significant progress. So Ricky, you were just there.
Yes, I was. Okay. It depends on what your definition of entrance is. Yeah. Yes, the front entrance is all cleared up. Where you walk in and you see Spaceship Earth immediately, like all that's gone. After you go underneath Spaceship Earth and you start to go out into the middle, that's all walls. So, I mean, there's a giant wall all the way around after that point. So, front walkway in, you're good to go. Middle, yeah, there's a lot of walls. Sorry.
Yeah. The thing is, we'll get there. Like
we will. I mean, it's a process. Yes.
I tell myself, you gotta remember, like long term, like Disney's Hollywood Studios was a tragic mess.
Yes.
For a long time, and that's a beautiful park, and so
is.
it's you got to go through the rough times. So we'll get there.
You do. Yeah.
All right. Question from James in the inbox says, let's see, for families bringing their own food into the parks, what are your top 5 quick service dining atmospheres? I heard recently that Electric Umbrella, RIP, used to have a cool upper level eating area, but obviously that's no longer an option. Where would you go to sit back, relax, and unpack a sandwich? So I thought we'd give, maybe 1 or 2 real quick. I would go over to Tom Sawyer Island and
that's a good choice.
maybe snack over there if you bringing in, a sandwich and some chips. Anybody? Ricky, we got a place?
So I mean, I think it's a little bit harder to go into a place and bring your sandwich. So I'm gonna say somewhere that's still connected to a counter service, but you are eating outside. But you can have I think there's fans there. But I was gonna say Backlot Express. They have a really large area where you could potentially eat there. So that's kind of
a good place. Yeah, it's a good place. It's covered, but fans and comfortable, and lots of tables. Yeah,
exactly.
That's a good place. Pam, what about you?
I think I would head to one of the resorts. Actually, a lot of them have places like tables and stuff that you can sit at sort of by their playground area or something like that. And I think that's where I would head to, one of the resorts near whatever theme park you're going to.
Yeah.
I would also say Flame Tree Barbecue has all that table seating.
That's true. And there's a really cool spot to see the water over there too. So that's
you got to fight the aggressive birds.
You do have to fight the very aggressive birds. Yes.
Epcot, you could sit like many places. Like again, speaking of the aggressive birds is kind of the theme, but over at the UK.
I was going to say, what about over in Japan by the koi ponds?
Ah, yes. But I mean, yeah, you gotta make sure that the people that are buying their food have a seat. But yeah,
Right. That's kind of the biggest thing. Yeah. You have to choose places that have a lot of seating for people who, are buying food too. So.
Alfred chimes in with the lunching pad. So yeah, right there under the TTA.
That's a hard spot to get, though. I mean, it's a hard spot when you're buying food. I can only imagine how hard it is. Not
the sweet cheese cream pretzel. Give me a
know. I want a spot to sit down. Yeah.
I haven't had one of those in forever. I love my sweet cheese cream pretzel. So good. Adam seconds Flame Tree Barbecue. So give him a ding. There you go.
Oh, that was loud.
I know it's supposed to be. Okay, Sean says he has a question. Hey, BOGP crew, I have an upcoming trip in mid-June this year. I'll be traveling solo and have everything planned out except for one day. I plan on starting the day by getting my annual Tonga toast at the Polynesian, and I'll be seeing the fireworks at the Magic Kingdom. However, I'm conflicted on what I should do about dining. My original plan was to hit Artist Point before I head over to the Magic Kingdom, but being an introvert, I'm not so sure if doing character dining experiences is a good mix. My other idea is to hit Trader Sam's Grog Grotto when it opens and then dine at Ohana for the first time. What would you recommend? Should I chill around the Polynesian and relax before the Magic Kingdom, or should I take the risk and try out Artist Point? In case you're wondering if I can eat that much, the answer is yes. I'm a marathon runner and have an extremely high metabolism. Can't wait to hear your answers and keep up the great work.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Shout out to the marathon runners, because that means lots of TB. All right, so
Stop.
Introverts and Artist Point. Now, see, I haven't done Artist Point with the Snow White scary meal.
Scary breakfast? It's dinner. But
I don't know. Where did she scare you?
Honestly, right now, I say go for it. I've obviously done character meals before before COVID, but now with the fact that they don't really come up to your table and they just kind of like walk by, you can.
That's true. That is true.
You can enjoy them as much as you want at that point. So I mean, it's not like they're stopping by your table and and honestly, I've done it obviously since COVID too. Actually, at Disneyland, they kind of they didn't really stop by your table, but they kind of paused a little bit. And you could get selfies with them and stuff like that, but they just keep on walking if you aren't really interested. Even before COVID, I'd take my picture and then they'd move on. So, I say still go for it. I think now is the perfect time to do it. And I don't see a reason not to. If that's really what you want to do, go for that one.
They should advertise this as like introvert friendly character.
Yeah, introverted character dining. Yeah.
Like we heard the feedback from our guests, and to be more accommodating to our introvert friends, we have kept our scary stepsisters arm's length from you, so they're not as scary. I don't know. So what would you do, Pam? I mean, it sounds like either one's kind of a good day.
Yeah, right. I'm trying to think. Is there a wrong answer in this scenario? They both seem like fantastic options, and I have to agree with Ricky in that, Disney character meet and greets, I feel were always very well. No. I always thought that they did a good job, sort of reading the room.
Yes.
When it came to things like if it were to happen to be just Steve and I, and we're like, yeah, like hi Donald, like
hi, what's up?
You just give me Isaac, like.
Yep, pretty much. Then they wave and they're still excited to see you, but they're like, doesn't have to be this 10 minutes of awkward. You know what I mean? So I thought that Disney characters in particular are really good at reading that. And I think it's worth going to see. I think that Disney does a great job with character meals. It's not just the characters. It's not just the food. It's really the total package, and it's worth experiencing.
I mean, that's kind of why you go and get pictures and have the experience, because it's more that's the whole thing. Character dining is more than a meal. It's an experience.
Yes, it really is.
All right, here's a question from one of my guests who is really excited. He gets to go on his first Disney cruise. He's been working on it over at the Magic for Less. I'm super excited for Eric and his family, and he has a question here. He's been asking me to get it in, so here we go. He says, going to Disney World in late April with my 8-year-old daughter and 6-year-old son, who are the best of friends, but also mortal enemies.
I've been there.
So I feel his pain. I've been there. I mean, every parent has been there. Okay. If you have two kids, and I mean, I have kids that are 11 years apart, and that could not be more true.
Mhm.
We recently went to another event, which required us to wait in line for about 30 minutes. And I spent most of my time breaking up both verbal and physical fights between them, playing doctor when my daughter managed to fall over her own feet and get a cut, or I guess it was a son, on his knee, constantly redirected them both from standing on the line dividers, and apologized about 50 times to others for my two little ones stepping on others' feet and bumping into them. By the time we got to the ride, I found myself using it more to relax from the stress of the 30 minutes in line than enjoying the ride itself. Something tells me I'm not alone. This said, even with the Genie Plus options, we'll definitely be spending even more time in line, and I'd love to hear some tricks, tips, and suggestions. I could bring their tablets and keep them in my backpack and whip them out as needed, but once they know the tablets are an option, they'll want them during every minute of wait time, and I feel that may take away from the time of being engaged with the valuable family time. Help a dad out. Thanks. Eric is in Riverdale, Massachusetts. And Eric, I feel your pain. I mean, every parent has had this. I just don't know what you do, because for a long time we just had Paige, so like the single kid. So you got to be the entertainment, right? I mean, Pam has been in that case, when Hannah was little. But yeah, I mean, so I don't know, like what advice, I mean, Ricky, you don't even have kids.
I don't have kids.
All this. So let me start with Pam. So Pam, what advice would you give? I mean, he's right. Electronics are a good distraction, but again, it's that balance. You want to be able to disconnect and have family time. You don't want to just throw a screen in front of the kid for the entire trip.
No, I agree. And you know what? Before I did this, I actually worked in this field, and we did a ton of behavior modification. So it's sort of like where my passion lies. I got to pause for a second. I'm going to cough. Sorry, Mike, you're going to have to use the thing for me.
It's not me.
I know. It's like Pam 1, Ricky 320.
Yeah, exactly. It's fine.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Sorry. All right. So we have a bit of experience in this with behavior modification and trying that. And that's basically what you're asking. So for anything to be something that is consistent and you have a good outcome, I suggest trying whatever you want to implement before you leave home, right? So your kids are used to it and you're used to it. So this might mean you're going to the grocery store with extra kids, which is not always the best place to go and do that. But what you're going to do is find some kind of thing that you're going to do consistently, whether it is give them something positive for the behavior you're trying to encourage, right? Which is them being helpful or whatever. And that could be something as simple as you say to the one who's being great, or the one who's not being, the one who's kind of being a pain. Look at your brother or sister. They're doing such a great job, like X, Y, or Z. And if you do that consistently, kids will follow this lead. They do. It's crazy, the small things. You can set up little rewards that, like, if we can make it through this queue without there being a major incident, and define what that is, then both of you can get a Mickey bar or whatever. Set up, have them earn points to get what they want. And they can earn points by doing like good behavior things, or at least avoiding bad behavior things, whatever. If you want to say, if you earn 5 points, you get a Mickey bar, whatever. I'm not saying this has to cost a lot of money, but just set up something to help them succeed. And if you all do this ahead of time, I think it will be a big win for you.
Yeah, it's spoken as a former teacher to yourself. I mean, I can see that. And so we had a program that we used forever in our school district called PBS, and it became PBIS. Every year it changes, letters. And it was like positive behavior systems, and all that. And I call it positively bribing students is basically what it was, because it was all about, giving kids things. But I mean, hey, you're on vacation. I'm not above bribing for good behavior.
No.
Dude, if that's what it's got to be. If you got to bribe them with a Mickey bar so they don't kill somebody in line, hey, it's vacation. It's a means to an end. It's not going to, it's not going to change your behavior for the rest of their life. It's going to keep everybody in that line happy. It's going to keep you sane. It's going to keep them happy. if you got to bribe them for a little bit, hey, I mean, and I have a master's degree in education. I'm not against that. So
no, it works. It works for us as adults. It's
Right.
only we don't think of it as a bribe. We
True.
think of it as like, this is the reward for your behavior, right? These are the consequences, whatever. So
I went to work today. I get a cookie when I get
well,
home.
I mean, right? I mean, but what you get is your paycheck, right? I mean, I showed up, I did my job, I get my paycheck.
I get my money.
I get positive behavior strategy right there. So
That's true. That's
you
true.
can imagine for us had like a contest. Whoever books the most trips this month, like you get like a gift card to Amazon. Dude, I was like, I'll stay on the phone until 11:30 tonight. Let's roll. That's how life works. I mean, that's
right,
competitive.
it's all about encouraging the behavior you want to see, right?
I'm not above a
No,
bribe.
nobody
So.
is. I mean, it's just how the world
No.
works. But I mean, Lisa's, I mean, all the parents feel it's like Lisa in the live chat. My littles only get along in the Pop Century pool. I feel you there. That is so true. And Tabitha has a good point, though. She says in the live chat, I had to keep my 10-year-old son engaged on the Disney Play app and other games, even with her being a little older. Haven't brave taken both my kids yet, though. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like, I mean, I would definitely, you could use the tablet or the phone and stuff like that, but use it sparingly, use it where it's needed. And the thing is like, and also Len talked about finding hidden Mickeys, getting the hidden Mickey book. I think it's about variety is the spice of life. I mean, the queues have a lot of stuff going on. So in one queue where there's a lot going on, don't pull out the tablets. But I mean, if you're like in a switchback, that's where you pull out the tablet, because the switchback
Where you see that same family 8 times.
you got the same family you're gonna be passing 8 times where they can kick the same guy in the shins. Like, dude, give them a tablet. Especially if you see a guy that's 6'3" in a Cardinal jersey and I'm down there at the same time in April. Yeah, give them the tablet so they don't kick me. Oh yeah, the heads up game. Rhonda Lisa from up in
That was a great one. Yeah.
How many times have we played? I know we've played that.
I don't know, as adults.
Yeah.
Dude, Hannah's the master of pulling that game out. When we're in line with Hannah, she always pulls out the heads up game on the phone.
I mean, also, let's be honest. I mean, even as adults, we get bored in the line and we're on our phones or whatever, to distract us from the wait. So they're going to need something to distract them from the wait. So I agree. This is why PM's my grown up, role model, because if I ever had kids, like she's exactly who I would aspire to be like. I'm like, dude, that's a great idea, Pam.
The funny thing is, we only occasionally kick people in the shins when we're in the lines.
Right.
Not too
It's
often.
usually each other.
Right,
It's definitely each other.
Julie
Yeah.
isn't kicking Ricky in the shins. Like Ricky
Exactly.
That's just how it goes.
I can only reach your shins when I kick. Yeah.
On social media, we're gonna get that device where I'm gonna get the plank that goes on my back like a backpack, so you can now see the parades.
I'm excited about this. I can finally stand and see the parades. Thanks, Mike. That's very appreciated.
Whoever made that was classic. That was good.
That was. I don't know who made that, but that looks like a lawsuit waiting to happen.
All right, last question of the day comes from listener Haley. She says, "Hey Mike, love the show. Discovered it during the pandemic when I was looking for something positive to focus on. So thank you. And thank you, Haley.
Yay, we're positive.
Good try.
I love it. I love it when people bring up that more than anything else. I love that. So.
I agree. Even though the last
some
question
good
was
out
like
there.
siblings kicking each other in the shins.
Yeah. Well.
We're real too. Every once in a while we get real. I mean, that's just how it is. Let's see. What we're trying to do is keep. Honestly, the focus of that question was not about getting kicked in the shins. It was about avoiding you getting kicked in the shins if you happen to be standing next to that family.
It's true.
And also, poor Eric. He's just trying to just keep his sanity. Because I've been there, man. I've been there. I get it. Okay. Continuing on with Taylor's email. We missed our window to plan our second family Walt Disney World trip while my girls were both under 10. Thanks, COVID. Yeah. You know what? Here's the deal, though. It's not that big of a price difference between 9 and 10. The biggest deal is if they went from 2 to 3.
Yes, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So if that happened, there you go. That's so trauma. Okay. And I love my new mixer, by the way. And I'll stop doing it after this week. So there you go. Now I probably won't. Now my older daughter is a 10-year-old Disney quotes adult, but would really still enjoy character dining like Be Our Guest, Topolino's, etc. My understanding is she will be charged the adult price, and I'm going to grit my teeth and accept that. However, will she be allowed to order the kid version of the meal even though she's 10? She's not a picky eater and would eat the adult food. But for example, if she sees that her sister can get Mickey waffle dippers at Topolino's and she can't, we're going to have issues. This is like the kid issue show all of a sudden. And I did not pre-read like these questions. I mean, I read them when they come in, but they've been about a week. So I did not intend this to be also the Boardwalk Reimagination sports betting show and the kids kicking each other.
We've just gone all over the place on this
the
one.
The show's been everywhere. And we have an announcement about future questions coming up right after this question. So, but real quick, Pam, there will be you are going to pay the adult price once they're 10, but you can order off the kids menu, right?
Yeah, they have sort of an adult price version of the kids' items. So that's to stop, I think, adults from being like, I would like to pay the kids' price and order the kids' meal. They'll be like, exactly. We have a special adult size version of the kids' meal. So yeah, you'll be absolutely, she'll be able to do that. And by the way, at Topolino's, anyone who wants to order Mickey Dipper waffles can get them. And you can order an adult entree, and say, the table would like to split the Mickey Dipper waffles. Yes. So you can order them for the table, which is my favorite thing to do. So yeah, it's awesome.
The table's awesome. I appreciate the table.
Yes, me too.
The whole table benefits.
Yes, they do.
Okay, so that is the last question of the day, but we have something that we want to do here that we talked about before we start recording for the listener question show. We're going to do one here in about 2 or 3 weeks coming up, a special listener question show. Pam, you had this idea. So let everybody know what we're looking for. We're soliciting special questions for a show here in about 3 weeks. So give us your idea.
So what we're looking for is your craziest Disney vacation planning question. And we know that you have them. Now, if it's so crazy you don't even want your name written, we can do first initial. We can do JR from, no, we won't even do first and last initial. Yeah. From wherever. JR from Dallas. Right? But we want to hear them. We want to hear about your questions because we've all seen some pretty crazy ones. We need a hashtag, Mike. So when they post it on, so like BOGP.
Crazy question?
Crazy question.
So, you could do that. Yeah, crazy question, or it could be CQ. BOGP CQ for crazy question. That'd be
BOGP CQ. Yes.
Do that.
So anyway, so that we can find
you can also email them to me at mike@beourguestpodcast.com and just put crazy question in the
good. But I think it'll be interesting to see the kind of crazy listener questions that our guests have. And by the way, if you have some crazy question that you wanted to ask, but we're embarrassed to do so, now's your time.
Yes.
So
we'll have fun with that. Yes.
Yeah, we will.
Mike@beourguestpodcast.com. Send those in. Just crazy questions. Just some absurd thing you've always wondered about. Put it in there. But hashtag BOGPCQ, and we'll kind of put those all together. So that will be fun, and we'll get to those here in probably about 3 weeks. I'm thinking we'll give some time to let those kind of get out there. All right, so we are going to duck out of here, and we'll be back again tomorrow. We got the replay where we brainstormed the idea for the Odyssey becoming a sports bar. It all came together in one show, so you get to hear that tomorrow on the replay with all the great calls. And then Friday, we are going to talk about the pros and cons of the 3 major resort categories at Walt Disney World. The values, the moderates, and the deluxes, because they all do. I mean, there's some things the values do better than the deluxes, and we're going to talk about that. Obviously, the deluxes do a lot of things better than the other ones because you're paying extra, but we're going to talk about there are things that each one of those categories does better and worse than the other categories. So we'll talk about that on Friday. And also on Friday, we'll be celebrating 14 years to the day of podcasting here on the Be Our Guest podcast. We're excited for that. So come back for that, the big birthday party. We'll bring the cake. You bring the napkins. We'll have a good time. So don't forget, as always, today's show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love you to just drop by the website today, themagicforless.com. You can check out all the great trip planning tools. I like looking at the pictures, but I've always liked that since I've been a little kid. Pictures are always fun. There's, you can check out I love the resort guides. So if you want to go to Walt Disney World, this is where you start. You can check out, you want to stay at French Quarter, go check out the French Quarter link. It shows you all the pictures of the rooms. You can check out the Sassagoula River. You can check out the dining. And then you can, while you're there, fill out the quote form, put some dates. You're thinking about doing 6 days of tickets, 5 days of tickets. It doesn't really matter. Just put what you think might work for you. We'll get you some pricing and availability. But honestly, that's just the starting point. And then we narrow things down from there for you till we get it just right. It's like a funnel, right? That's how I tell my guests. We look at it as a funnel. You put some dates, It starts out kind of real big at the top, and then we kind of whittle things down till we get it just perfect for your family or for just you for that trip. And then you have a great trip paying the least amount possible, and you're going to have a magical time. We promise you that. So just drop by themagicforless.com today. Fill out that quote form. Of course, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney, Universal. We'll take care of you. So drop by themagicforless.com today. Also, please use that Amazon affiliate link, beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. That really does help us out. And thank you so much to our patrons who support us each month. We couldn't do this without you. Our patrons get a bonus show, Mike in the Midwest, every week. Come on over and join us for that over at patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Give Ricky a follow on the social media. She's at Ricky Nibs. Pam is at TMFLT Pam. Of course, this is on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at BRGuestMike. I'd love to talk to you this week, so give me a follow over there on Instagram and Twitter. And of course, subscribe to the show on Facebook and YouTube so you can join us when we record. You can be in the live audience and have fun and get in on the pre-show, the post-show, all that fun stuff. And if you don't mind, give us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. We'd sure appreciate that. And thank you to everybody who has done that so far. It is very, very much appreciated. All right, we're going to get out of here and be back again Thursday and Friday celebrating 14 years of the show. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you so very much. So for Ricky and Pam, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Wednesday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Okay, let me get, actually, I'm going to do, well, here, while I got it up, I'm going to pull that out real quick, that 30-minute thing. Just that little cough. Just got
Sorry, I tried really hard.
It'll take 1 second because I got it
we
marked.
did a ton of behavior modification. No, I agree. And
you want to be able to
No, I agree. But we like where my passion lies. I gotta pause for a second. I'm gonna cough. Sorry, Mike, you're gonna have to use the thing for me.
It's not me.
I know. It's like Pam.
Yeah, exactly.
Hang on. I got it. I got to move this. Hang on. Otherwise, it'll be hard to find in a second.
All right. So we have a bit of.
Hang on.
I know.
So it's at 3038. Throw a screen in front of the kid for the entire trip.
No, I agree. And you know what? Before I
3038. Okay, let me get it here. Let me just make this big.
Mike, did you see Cannolis is closing? Sad day.
I've been there in ages.
I will pour one out in the form of olive oil and Parmesan cheese and pepper and garlic salt. I'll pour one of those out this week and dip some bread in it. So good. Won't be the same, but so good.
You couldn't get workers. That's why they're going out of business.
I believe it.
The entire trip. So sad.
Sorry, Mike, you're gonna have to use the thing for me. I know. It's like. Sorry.
I got it.
We have a bit of experience.
This shouldn't take this long. It's because what I did was I moved my windows to the opposite monitors, and now everything's like whack in front of the kid for the entire trip.
We have a bit of experience.
Okay, done. Okay, let me save this. It'll save me chasing that down when I can't find it later. Okay, file, save as. Episode 2054. Edited. Do. Yeah, cannolis. That's sad.
I know, it is sad. Very sad. Gonna miss it. I mean, not that I haven't
been there since. Oh man.
I ate there. I ate there on a recent-ish trip back to St. Louis. I don't remember which one it was.
I've been there at least 10 years. I never go to North County anymore.
I will miss the bread. The bread was good.
Bread was the best part to come out in that popcorn little bag.
Yes, the popcorn bag. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right.
The manicotti was good too, though. I like that. And their salad.
Yeah, their salad was solid with that little cheese.
Yeah, dude, you just eat that cheese. The rope cheese.
Ropes.
Yeah, the rope cheese.
I need some of that right about now.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh my God, cannolis. Okay, now I'm hungry for some Italian food. Okay.
Sorry, my bad.
All right, here we go. 20.
At least you get good Italian food. I can't get good Italian food here.
Yep. All right, here we go. Welcome to episode 2056 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Friday to you and happy birthday to the Be Our Guest Podcast. That's right. Episode 1 of the Be Our Guest Podcast, actually episode 0, the first kind of introductory episode of our show came out on March 18th. 2008. So we are 14 years old today, getting there in our teen years. We have a little angst right now. We're in those angsty years, but we are here, and thank you for allowing us to keep going all this time doing these shows. We could not do this without you. And I got to tell you, I absolutely love recording this podcast. It's my favorite time of the week. And then once the shows go out into the world, into the universe, I love seeing the feedback and having the conversations. And I love the friends. And honestly, I consider family that I've met because of this show. So thank you for everything you've done over the past 14 years. And we're going to keep chugging right along into our 15th year of podcasting with my family here, the dream team, I call them. So joining us from themouseforless.com, we have Ricky. Ricky, happy 14 years. Holy cow.
I cannot believe we've been doing this for 14 years. I mean, it floors me that we've been doing this for that long. But I am so proud to say that we've been doing this that long too, because it is not an easy feat to get to 14 years of episodes. And I am so proud of what we have been able to do. It's amazing that we've managed to get here. Happy 14th. Woo! I love it.
It's crazy. It's nuts. I mean, the podcast started when I always use my daughter because I had to get, everybody jokes, but like I started the podcast when Mallory was 2 months old because I had to get downstairs and get a little quiet time a couple times a week, right down to the basement. So I started a podcast. Yeah. She starts high school. She has high school cheerleading tryouts next week. So
crazy.
Tell me about it. Life,
yeah.
It's like Ferris Bueller says, man, life moves quickly.
It does.
Check it out. All right. Also joining us, we have the co-owner of the Magic for Less Travel, Pam Forrester. Pam, happy 14 years of podcasting.
Happy 14th. So the big question is, when you're planning a party at work, right? And everyone writes down, here's the dish I'm going to bring to the party, right? Here's what I'm going to bring. So Mike,
when I taught, it was always napkins because raw.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Since you're the guy in our group of 3 here, are you bringing napkins, cups, or
plates.
Soda?
Yep.
These are the things.
These are the things. Yes.
So, anyways, it's so funny. I know, and now truly we are in the senior citizens of podcasting group, right?
We are.
At this many years. How many podcasts are there out there? I mean, someone's got to be keeping track of stuff like this.
When we first started doing this, I literally had to explain to people what a podcast was.
Right.
They didn't even know. And I'd be like, well, it's kind of like, what you listen to on the radio, but on the internet, and like, they were like, huh? So, and now I'm watching television shows and they're like, yeah, go on our podcast. I'm like, what just happened here?
I know, right? I know. So it's good. I mean, I think we're all proud of not only the work we get to do here, but the relationships that we've made because of the podcast. It's really a very cool thing. And I think at the end of the day, we always try to put something good out there into the world with the podcast. And I think that I love it. I said this on the Monday show or the Wednesday show, I love when people write to us and say, I love your podcast because it's positive. And I think that that's really complimentary to us. So I'll take it. I do not think of positive as being a bad thing. So
no, never. I 100%, because there's so much negative in the world that it's good to put out some positive to kind of counteract that, because, every once in a while, that'll be like one of our, if somebody has, negative review of us, you're too positive. You're not hard on Disney. And the thing is, I understand things are not perfect. Disney does a lot of stuff that I don't agree with, but there's a lot of podcasts that pound that into the ground. Do we need to be the 17th show this week to talk about that? No. You can get that elsewhere where, we probably won't, have to spend an hour talking about that, because I just think this is a nice escape. We could talk about some of the good stuff and just move on. I mean, not everything's perfect. Don't get me wrong. But
I mean, Mike said about ESPN Club closing.
But positively enough, I gave them a good alternative. So next week when the Odyssey is, has a big DraftKings like banner on the outside that looks like Las Vegas. You're welcome.
We know why.
We know why. Hating on Mike, boy, but coming for me. So I'm going to unlist my phone. That's how old we are, right? I just about said, I'm going to get an unlisted phone number. Who has that anymore? Nobody even has a phone. When we started this podcast again, and if you've been around long enough, you know this, when we started this podcast and we did our first live call-in shows on Sunday nights, which used to be 2 hours because I used to have more time in my life, apparently. I used my home landline, that was my home phone landline that I had to get this thing from the radio station that my dad worked at. It was called I don't know what it was called. It's still here. It's at my feet. You had to plug your landline into the back of this thing. It took an analog phone line, turned it into a digital signal. And so whenever somebody would call in, I had to hit these two buttons at the same time, and it would turn the analog signal into but then when the show was over, people would still be blowing up my home phone on Sunday nights till 11:30 at night. My wife's like, people are still calling. I'm like, take the phone off the hook. I don't care. It was so awesome. I don't care.
Take the phone off the hook.
Right. That's so great. See, we are old because we are old. We are so bad. Anyway, so let's get.
We are so OG at this point.
So okay, let's jump into today's topic because we spent 30 minutes off topic on Wednesday's show before we ever got into the listener questions.
That seems legit.
Today I just wanted to kind of kick off the weekend. We like talking about the Walt Disney World resorts, and
we do.
I think we kind of tend to like that stuff. But I was thinking about this today as I was working in the office, and I was thinking about there's three major Walt Disney World resort categories. You got the values, the moderates, and the deluxes. And sometimes, you stay in each one, right? There's a lot of times where the moderate is my sweet spot. Go to Coronado or Riverside or French Quarter or Caribbean Beach, whatever. Sometimes I'm going down for the spring surprise weekend, book that super last minute just because I got FOMO when everybody was at Princess. I told myself I'm not going. I kept saying, I am just skipping Princess and spring surprise this year. I'm just waiting, I kept telling myself I need a break. I'm going to do marathon. I love Dopey, but I need a break after that. I'm going to have a break. Then of course, everybody gets down there. Scott starts texting me his pictures and everybody's posting them in the Lizard group. Everybody's doing boom. After dinner on Friday night at the Mexican restaurant, I was checking Pop Century, booked it, got a bib for Tower of Terror 10 miler, got my airline ticket. I was in. And so, I don't need a deluxe hotel for that stay because it's just me. I just need a place to stay and I like Pop. So I got a value for that. But I mean, so what I want to talk about today and kind of spend some time and dive into this, there are things that all three categories of resorts do better and worse than the other categories. And I mean, you might not think that, can a value do something better than a deluxe? Yeah, there are things that the values have over the deluxes. Of course, the deluxes are going to have a lot over the values because you're paying more. But I wanted to kind of dive into that. And I'll give an example to kind of kick us off. At the value resorts, for example, sometimes you can get your car pretty close to your room. Okay, so say you drive and you want to you drove in and you want to have everything kind of close. You can get a standard view room, it's say an All-Star or a Pop Century, and you can almost park your car right up to your room and get your, if you got to get coolers and stuff like that into your room, that's a positive. If you're a beach club or yacht club or boardwalk, that's a challenge. You're going a long way to get your stuff to your room. You're not going to have that exterior facing door, which is a positive for a deluxe resort. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, certain people like to have quick access to their car. They can just jump out there, get in the car and go. I mean, so that is something that if that is something you're looking for a particular reason, a value resort is something you might look at. So let's kind of talk, Ricky, what else for value resorts do they have that are kind of positives over the other categories? Because there's not going to be a lot of these things, but there are some things.
There are definitely some things. And I think that one of the major things, and I know we kind of talked about this before we started recording, but this is really one that I take to heart. And it's the food courts are actually so much better at the Disney Value Resorts than at any other resort category for the most part. You just have so many different choices. The food is actually really good. I know, I've been at Pop Century with my brother, and we've been like chowing down on like some meatloaf or pot roast or whatever, and we're like, this is like really good.
Right.
This is really good. This is not just counter service good. This is really good. So I feel like they sometimes have some of the better dining options. They have more options, and they have, in my opinion, they have the better snacks, to be perfectly honest, because, a lot of times when I've gone to a deluxe resort, I'm like, I've been nearby because I've been, say at the Magic Kingdom or whatever. And I'm like, I just really need a snack before I go home. And I'm going through and I'm like, okay, I'm by the Poly. Let me go there. And there's like, you go into Captain Cook's and they have like 2 things for snacks. I'm like, oh, this stinks. Like, I really want something good. And then, you go over to Pop Century and there's like 50 bajillion snacks in the counter for you to choose from. And I'm just like, okay, yes, this is what I want, So I feel like their snack options are on point at the counter service or at the value resorts. And I really do appreciate the fact that they have so many more great options to dine on at the value resorts. It makes my life so much better. And they have more windows too, actually, to be perfectly honest, to check out.
Right. They're made for families. Let's be honest. Like, they have more stuff that's kid friendly. They're going to have like a whole like bay that's pizzas. Almost every kid likes pizza. A lot of adults. So,
right.
There's going to always be like a section that's going to be like just pizzas. There's going to be a section that's got chicken nuggets and burgers.
Yes.
So, you're covered there as a parent. Of course, you're lacking a sit-down restaurant. So that's a negative for the value resorts. You do not have any sit-down dining anywhere, but you do. The thing is, they have stepped up. Like, they have really good mac and cheese over at Art of Animation at Landscape of Flavors.
Heck yeah.
It is. Yeah. It's not Kraft macaroni and cheese. It's like what my grandma made. It is good. It's good stuff.
Yes.
So good stuff there. So Pam, what else can you add for the values that maybe they do better than some of the other places?
I think one of the other things that the values do better in a different way. I won't say that I'm going to talk about the shopping. I won't say that the selection is as unique as you'll find as some of the other resort shopping. But when you get there to a value resort, that you're going to be able to go to the shop there and pick up any staple that you need.
Agreed.
Right? There have been times when I've been looking for a Magic Band and they're not available in the Deluxe Resorts gift shop, but I go to the value, or I ask someone and they call around and they're like, where they have them? They have them at Everything Pop or whatever. Mm-hmm. Just some basic needs stuff they're going to have. In addition, I find that some of the, let's say there's like a shirt that like everyone's loving. You're going to be able to find it at a value resort, probably more likely than finding it at one of the deluxe or moderate resorts. And I always wondered, like, what is that? Like, Disney's great at research. So there must be some research to back this up, right? And they're usually big shops too at the value resorts. Do they find that guests that stay at a value resort actually spend more on certain kinds of souvenirs? Do they find that they're looking for these kind of things? I don't know. There has to be something behind it, but love that when I'm looking for something and I need to find it in one of the shops, one of the value resorts is going to have it most of the time.
So one thing before we move on to the moderates, one thing I will say that is an advantage I see I think if you've stayed there and you've gone to all 3 categories over the course of the years, which I have, and my wife points us out, bus service for the most part at the value resorts, while at the end of the night can be a little bit chaotic, for the most part is pretty good at the value resorts, even compared to the moderates and the deluxes. And this is why. Say you're staying at Pop Century and you're taking a bus. There's only one stop. You just get on the bus at the front of the hotel and you go to your destination. So at the moderates, now French Quarter excluded, but at the moderates, you're going to be doing, the 4 stops around the perimeter of the resort because they're larger. So you don't have that at all. You don't have that at the All-Stars. You don't have that at Art of Animation or Pop. So it's just one, you get on the bus and you go. So that's good. Of course, at the end of the night, again, it does get chaotic because there's a lot of people at that resort, but that also does happen at the moderates. So I will say, I don't think this is a secret. But there's a kind of a counterpoint to this too, is that I think the bus service, like at a Pop Century, at Art of Animation, and even sometimes the All Stars, is better than some of the deluxe hotels, because a lot of times the deluxe hotels will share buses. So like say you're staying at the Beach Club, you might have to do Beach Yacht Boardwalk on that run. Sometimes even Swan and Dolphin. So it just depends. I mean, and sometimes Wilderness Lodge will go over to Fort Wilderness. But here's the counterpoint to that. If you're staying at a deluxe resort, you're always going to have a second option. You're going to have a boat. You're going to be able to walk to a theme park. You're going to be able to take a Skyliner somewhere, so that's not going to be your only transportation option. But I will say bus service at value resorts is pretty darn good. I mean, it's not something to be discounted. I would say that it is, I stay at Pop Century because I have good bus service to the Magic Kingdom, which is key. I have Skyliner access to the studios in Epcot, which rocks, and good bus service to Disney Springs and Animal Kingdom. That is a good, leave the tie-dye cheesecake on the table, right? I like that. That's why I stay, right? And it's my jam. Like I love 70s music. Give me the hustle and I'm good. But there's a lot of reasons that add up, and I'm a food court kind of guy, not fancy. There's a lot of reasons why I tend to go back to Pop, but the bus service is one of those reasons why. Combine that with the Skyliner, and I'm a fan of Pop. So transportation, I think they do it well at the value resorts. That's a plus for me. So we've kind of got, here's the thing though. So negatives to the values. So let's talk pools. The pools are adequate at the values. They're fun, right? The Pop Century, you got the hippy dippy pool with the, the flowers that are shooting out water, right. And you got the computer pool, and at the All Stars, they're all themed to the baseball and the piano and stuff like that. But the one thing they lack is slides. So you don't get a slide at a value hotel. You do get that once you move up to the moderates. So that's what you're getting at the moderates. Now, of course, the moderate pools are not going to be Stormalong Bay. They're not going to be the volcano pool at the Polynesian. They're not going to be the Keister coaster at the Boardwalk. So it's that middle ground, right? Because they're the moderate hotels. So I would say the moderates do pools better, but worse. They're in the middle. So that's what you got to think of. So that's where I'm going to throw pools in there. So Pam, what about the moderates? What do they do better than some of the other places?
I think that the moderates are really great at having a theme, a recognizable, desirable theme. Not that the value resorts don't have a theme, they do. But when you think about it, so when you arrive at Port Orleans, that's some of it's like antebellum South type with the mansions, or the Bayou, right? In the Bayou section. That's a really recognizable theme. When you're at Port Orleans, French Quarter, again, what that theme is. You walk through the resorts. It's charming. It feels like you're in a really clean New Orleans. It has so many things like that. If you go to Coronado, again, you're looking at the Southwest, and that is a really identifiable theme. And if you're at Caribbean Beach, of course, that it's going to be like the Caribbean. When I say that Disney does a theme, it's not just related to how things look. They carry that throughout, right? So your dining is going to have that same theme. You're going to have unique dining opportunities that relate to that theme. Like at French Quarter, you're going to be able to get beignets for breakfast at their quick service location. You can't get those anywhere else at Walt Disney World, right?
Which is a good touch, right?
Yes.
I like that is unique. While I would love to have a beignet at every stand, and I'd love to be able to have one at Caribbean Beach if I'm staying there, or Coronado, because I love beignets, man. They're so good. But that's what makes French Quarter special. And I hate to say it, but that's one of the factors when I'm thinking, okay, where do I want to stay this time? Well, it'd be kind of fun to have beignets this trip. That's kind of a unique thing, which I like that they do that.
It is. And that's the thing too. Like at Coronado in the towers, they have that little coffee bar area that's down on that lower ground floor. And I think that that's really unique location, and becomes sort of a bar in the afternoon, evening, where they have things that focus on that. At Caribbean Beach, their dining locations are very indicative of that theme, right? You have Shutters, you have, is this Sebastian's? I will call
Sebastian's. You went back in time.
I will call it Shutters for the rest of my life, right?
Actually, way back in the day, I had a decent steak at Shutters way back in the day. It wasn't bad.
Right? I remember that. Yeah. And so that you get to go to Sebastian's, so where they're going to have, food that has sort of a Caribbean flair to it. I love that, but they also have it at the quick service. So all of those kind of unique things, you know, Disney tells a story. They do that better than anyone else in the world. And they do this through the sights, the sounds, right? The music that you're going to hear is going to contribute to that theme. The smells, the food, like we talked about, the taste, all of those things. So yeah, that's what Disney does great.
So I'm going to try to say something about the theme that you just said, but I'm trying not to be like offensive to anybody. But here's what I think, like when it comes to the difference between the value themes and the moderate themes, is that I think a lot of times for the first time guests, and again, I stay at the values all the time. So this is not like a blanket statement, but I think it is true for maybe a majority of people, but definitely not everybody. But I think a lot of people, like first timers and so forth, like they say, I want to go to Disney, right? And so a lot of times you'll tend to stay at a value hotel your first time. I mean, that's just kind of how I would do it. You know, that's exactly what I did. The first time I went down with Pam, we stayed at All Star Sports. I mean, the first few times we stayed at the All Stars because honestly, that was all we could afford as teachers. And we didn't need anything better. We just needed a hotel and we wanted to go to the parks. We were gone like from morning till night. We were never in the hotel. So it worked out great for us. But I mean, if you think about it, like if somebody comes to you and says, I want to go to Disney, think about the themes of the All-Star Resort. You got all the Disney sporting, you know, you got all the Disney, you know, movies or music. It's all the Disney icons. You go over to Pop Century, you see all the Disney, like you see the Jungle Book and you see the 101 Dalmatians and you see, you know, the Potato Heads and stuff like that. And you know, all Art of Animation. You see Cars, Lion King, Little Mermaid. I mean, the values are like, we're going to Disney. I mean, that's what it is. But then I think as you go back a second, third, fourth, fifth time, maybe your taste gets slightly more sophisticated and you want to go to a geographical theme. You want to visit the Old South or French Quarter, or, you know, you want to visit the Caribbean. You know, you want to have like some palm trees and, you know, some calypso music. And that's why you go to Caribbean Beach. I don't know. I think it, you know, and then you take it to the next level when you get to the Deluxes, right? I mean, because it's real fancy and swanky. You know, you really go to the nice places. But that's something I wanted to throw in because I think a lot of times you just want to go to Disney the first time. And the value resorts take you to, I mean, they definitely hit you over the head with Disney, you know, boom, it's Disney everywhere. It's like Disney threw up on that resort. Boom, it's everywhere, you know, which is fun. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's Disney. I mean, it is. That's how it is. So, Ricky, what else about the mods are we thinking about here?
So there's a couple of positives that I'm going to go off of. So the first one is I think that the rooms, it kind of goes off of, you know, what Pam was talking about, you know, more themed. The rooms are definitely more themed in the moderates. I feel like, especially with how Disney has upgraded the value resorts, you know, a lot of people think that right now they're a little sterile. You know, we've seen that comment come through a fair number of times. I still enjoy the value rooms, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of people find them to be just a little sterile. And I feel like you get a little bit less of that. You get more of the theme involved in the moderate resorts. The other thing is it goes back to dining. There is usually a dedicated bar at the moderate resorts. I mean, yes, there are pool bars at the values, but like there's an actual like really decent bar area at usually most of the moderate resorts as well. So if you're looking to grab, you know, a drink or an appetizer or whatever, you can usually do that in one of those places. The last thing that I'm going to mention, that's for me a huge thing. It's a huge negative for the value resorts, but it's a nice positive for the moderates, and then of course the deluxes, is the fact that those two categories have a hot tub, which is so big. I mean, I live for hot tubs.
Hot tub.
Exactly. At the end of the night, when I'm done like touring the park, like there is nothing better than getting in a hot tub and just relaxing and stoking my very, very tired muscles. And the fact that I can't do that at a value resort makes me very, very sad. So, you know, that's another really big thing that kind of puts the moderates over the values, I feel like.
It's one of those things too. Yeah, here's the thing. I mean, while you can spend the day, obviously, at a Pop Century and All-Star Sports, Art of Animation, you can have a resort day and have a pool day, and I've done that, you know, many times at the values. I think it is very much. It's easier to do once you hit the moderates and the deluxes because of the opportunity for sit-down dining at your resort. So take Coronado for example. I mean, right there, you could eat at Three Bridges. You could also, you know, the food court there is a little bit nicer than the Pop Century food court with El Mercado del Coronado. I mean, it's got little stations. It's a step. It's a food court basically, but it's like a step fancier than the Pop Century food court. It's set up a little bit differently. It's a little bit fancier. You also have Maya Grill. You have Toledo's up at the top of the tower. You have Cafe Rick's. So you have that little, you have little snacky things and sweets, and you can get your refills there. But you also have Rick's Sports Bar. You could watch sports there. I mean, you could make a day easily out of Coronado. The pool, the dig site pool is awesome. I mean, that's easy day. I mean, there's plenty to do at Coronado. Where at Pop Century, you have the arcade, you have the pool.
Yeah.
And you have, that could be a day. I mean, for kids, that's all you really need. I mean, shoot, when I was like 8, you tell me a pool in an arcade, I'm like, sign me up. That was way better than my days at home in the summer. I mean, that's way better than in Florida. So that's totally fine. But I'm saying, like, as an adult, once you get into the moderate category, it makes like a resort day much more appealing, I think. Just more to do, more options for dining, better options. So that's what I'd say for them. And of course, the rooms are bigger. We didn't even talk about that, but they get bigger as you go through the categories, and you have more options for views. You now have water views where you're looking out over like a lake or a lagoon or, something nice, instead of like, let's face it, like it Pop Century, your best view is like the hippy dippy pool. But it's fun. It's exciting. I always get it. I don't know why. I'm crazy. All right. So Pam, let's go to the Deluxes. Obviously biggest rooms, biggest perk, probably location.
For sure. These are the hotels. It's funny. We'll get people who come to us and are just like, I want to stay at one of the hotels that has monorail service. And you, as a travel agent, you're like, oh man, that's really only 3. And I think that because there are so many different resorts at Walt Disney World, people don't really realize the monorail doesn't go to every single one of those. But now, not only do these hotels have monorail service, they also have a walking path that can get you to the resort. Each one of them does. So I think that's a big consideration for people who really want to be in control of their own, their destiny here as they're going to the Magic Kingdom. They can take the monorail or walk to the Magic Kingdom. There are also hotels within walking distance to Epcot. And let me tell you, these are a huge advantage at different times of the year. If there's any kind of festival going on, this is a great place to stay because you can walk or take the boat to Epcot from the boardwalk, the beach club, and the yacht club. And the other bonus of those hotels is that you can also walk or take the Skyliner to Hollywood Studios by just walking to the Skyliner station right there at Epcot, at that near the International Gateway entrance. The Wilderness Lodge is also a deluxe resort, and it has boat transportation to the Magic Kingdom. And it's just such a fantastic resort anyways that I think that it's a great choice. And finally, in the deluxe category, we have Animal Kingdom Lodge, which while it doesn't have like a specialized transportation to the Animal Kingdom, it does have bus transportation to the Animal Kingdom, and it literally takes you about 4 minutes to get there. It's such a quick ride. And the other huge bonus, I think, with the Animal Kingdom Lodge is, again, we talked about the theming with the moderates. The theming at the deluxe resorts is completely over the top in the best way possible. And Animal Kingdom Lodge, I think, is one of the best examples of the theme being carried throughout because you can sit on your balcony and watch giraffe. What more? Mic drop on that one. What more do you even have to say? So it's a great choice.
And I would say too, like, and these are two of the least expensive in the deluxe categories, Animal Kingdom Lodge and Wilderness Lodge. And I think they're two of the stronger themes in the entire category, that if you're really looking for, an immersive escape, say you want to go for a weekend, maybe you want to split, you want to do Pop Century and then you want to end, celebrate, the weekend before you go home and really do it up. Maybe you've done the parks on the front half of the trip. You just want to relax and have some resort time on the back end. Just chilling out at Wilderness Lodge. Think about this because you kind of mentioned it, especially Animal Kingdom Lodge, though, because you could enjoy the animals. You could enjoy Chico. It's one of the other things that the deluxes have that the other ones don't. They have signature dining. While the moderates will have table service dining, which is really, really good, you get a step up at some of these deluxe resorts where you're going to get signature dining, places like Chico, but you're also going to have places like Boma. You're going to have, counter service Mara. You're going to have Sanaa over at Animal Kingdom Lodge. But I would say, if you really want to stay at the hotel, there's lots to do at a a thematic place like Animal Kingdom Lodge or Wilderness Lodge. Because think about if you stayed at Wilderness Lodge for the weekend, you could have a meal at Whispering Canyon. You got Artist Point. You could chill out at Territory Lounge or Geyser Point on a nice night. How awesome is that? Enjoy the Florida weather, have some apps, some drinks. The pool there is incredible. The kids have an awesome slide. I mean, you got the geyser going off. If you want, you can go to the parks, ride a boat, and you're right there at the Magic Kingdom. A lot of, I'll say the Wilderness Lodge doesn't have great bus service, but I mean, a lot of pluses. I mean, there's always going to be pluses and minuses, but great rooms. I mean, it's just, the Wilderness Lodge is a great place to go to stay for the weekend. And especially at Christmas too, by the way.
Yeah,
the
definitely.
holidays, it's just like
the holidays, the deluxe resorts take it to the next level.
Gosh, especially Wilderness Lodge, like Grand. So what else are we talking about for the deluxes that you're thinking of, Ricky?
I think the biggest thing for me is the fact that the deluxe resorts are the ones that have the interior hallways, which, make a huge difference. It definitely feels a little more upscale because of that. And also, I mean, yes, your chances of hearing, people running past your door are much less in a deluxe resort. And also the rooms are a little quieter. I've definitely, some of the values, I've heard, some toilet flushes and things like that occasionally. So,
I swear it happens most on marathon weekends when you got to go to bed, and you got to get up at 2:30. It's like, oh man, quit flushing the toilet.
Your chances of hearing a toilet flush are a little less at a deluxe resort. Right. So,
are you saying people that stay in deluxe resorts don't go to the bathroom?
I'm not saying that at all. But, I feel like you hear it a little less. So, there's definitely that aspect too. I feel like the beds are maybe a little cushier at the deluxe resorts too. So it's just a little more plus. So let's put it that way, inside the rooms. So I mean, it is just, and I think the toiletries are a little better usually too. So
what about the toilet paper?
I knew that was where that was going. Toilet paper is definitely a little better. I mean, heck, I've been to the Grand Floridian and they stamped the Grand Floridian logo on
I took a picture.
I was like, this has to be the coolest, weirdest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It has the Grand Floridian logo on the toilet paper. Cool.
I know, because I stayed there with the girls last August before that cruise, and I went into the bathroom. I was like, because I left my phone out in the main room. I was like, Paige, give me my phone. She's like, what do you need the phone for in the bathroom? Like, I just need my phone. Give me my phone. I had to take a picture of the toilet paper.
She's like, I don't know what you're taking a picture of, but I don't want to be any part of this.
That was the weirdest thing for your stepdad to say, but yeah, I took a picture of that. And also, Kathy in the live chat, she says, also got to love having a balcony, which you can have at a deluxe resort. Now, I will say, you can do the poor man's balcony at Pop Century if you want. I mean, I have seen people taking advantage of those. That's what I call it.
That's true too. Yes, exactly.
I've sat out there in a hurricane actually and held onto the rail and Hurricane Charlie back in the day. It was like 2004. That was an exciting day. And Len also says if he was doing a non-park vacation, he would stay at one of the lodges. So Wilderness Lodge,
nice.
Animal Kingdom Lodge. I think he's going to be at Copper Creek in June. I'm very jealous.
Oh, that's nice.
Very nice. One of the things also that we didn't mention about the deluxe hotels, kind of a big perk, one of the newer ones, those evening hours that are exclusive to deluxe resort guests. I mean, Pam, we're hearing amazing things about this. And actually, I've had guests, and more than one, that have reworked their vacation so that, okay, on that night where they're having deluxe, exclusive hours for deluxe guests, I'm going to make sure that I'm in a deluxe hotel for just that night. So I'm going to split, I'm going to make sure I'm out of Pop Century that night and I'm going to go over to Boardwalk for that night. And really, and the thing is, you can swim in the pool that day and your check-in day and your check-out day. So you can make it a real, it's not just for that experience in the park that night. You can make it more, kind of a 36-hour thing.
Yeah, for sure. And you're right. The feedback's been fantastic. People have said, this actually made it so worth for me to stay in the deluxe resort because I got to experience these evening nighttime hours and there was hardly anybody there. I didn't wait for any of the attractions. And I love hearing that. I love hearing that Disney is finding a way to reward some of their guests by, especially the ones staying at an on-site hotel, because that's a win-win for everyone. You're sort of surrounded by that Disney magic, the whole time. And there is a difference in that. I mean, there is something to be said about the Disney service and the Disney product and what you're experiencing. But then to have access to this kind of benefit, which is something that you usually would have to pay for, I think you can see that as a real value in terms of that too. I think that sometimes people don't place enough of a value on their time, sometimes on vacation. And this really allows you, I think, to have the rest of your time be more relaxed. Because if you're able to go to one of those evening hours at Magic Kingdom, think about the things you're going to be able to get done or crossed off the list, that when you're back there at another day during your vacation, things don't feel quite so frenzied. Things don't feel like, you don't feel this pressure there, right? Because you got so much done. And the same goes for evening hours at Epcot. So something to consider.
All right. Well, hey, that was fun. I mean, because it really, and the thing is, like we said at the top of the show, it's really the goal of the trip as to where you might land. And, I stay at the Deluxes sometimes. I mean, usually it's a split stay. I don't tend to stay there for the entire, week long, but I'll do it for a splurge at the end. The moderates are typically where I land. But, like I said, I'm going down last minute for the spring surprise by myself. And I had to kind of ask permission at the last minute. Like, do you care if I go down? Because I told I wasn't going to go, and because we're going down for cheerleading, and I'm staying at a Holiday Inn at Disney Springs for that, so that'll be a whole nother show. I promise you on that. I didn't book that. That was the cheer moms. But it's one of those things. It's just me. Last minute. Pop Century works great. Transportation's the key for a race weekend for me. I mean, and I know Pop Century, and it's got what I need. So it's the goal of the trip. But I mean, I love kind of breaking it down. And I think as Disney fans, if you're spending time listening to our show, you're going to be analytical like this, right? You're going to look at, well, what would my kids like? Are they picky eaters? Well, if they're picky eaters and you need quick food, a food court is important, so you might look at a value. But I mean, then again, like, okay, do my kids want a slide? Maybe Caribbean Beach, they have a good food court too, and I'll get a slide there. Coronado's got a great pool. He's got the Jaguar slide over at the dig site, and they got a great food court. So it is kind of like you got to, and I know a lot of our listeners do this because I do the Monday trip reports with a lot of you guys. And a lot of times you'll send me your Excel spreadsheet with all the columns and the colors. And I'm like, holy cow. Like, our listeners are analytical. They break things down. So I know you probably think about this, and, hopefully we're taking you on, you're listening to us on a run, or you're doing chores, and, it's making you kind of think about that next trip. Like, what's important? Do you need that slide? Do you really want to go all in and have that thematic? I want to have 2 or 3 resort days where I'm outside the parks and I'm actually on vacation. I'm not running myself into the ground at the Magic Kingdom doing 17 attractions in 5 hours, because that's going to be where a deluxe resort really shines. So hopefully we just had some fun. And maybe, if nothing else, we had 35 minutes of fun resort talk, and we got to escape for a little bit. Got to get outside the news cycle and just talk about our favorite place. So either way, I hope you enjoyed today's show. Don't forget, we are soliciting your questions. The craziest, most weird questions for a future listener question show. So if you have a crazy question you've always wanted answered when it comes to Walt Disney World trip planning or just Walt Disney World in general, send those to me at mike@beourguestpodcast.com. Just put crazy question in the header, or you can hit us up on social media on Twitter. Just put the hashtag BOGPCQ for crazy question, and we'll keep track of those. And we'll get to those here in a few weeks. And that will be a fun show. I promise you that. So get those in as soon as you can. Don't forget, today's show is brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next trip, whether it's to a value, moderate, or deluxe Walt Disney World resort. We can also help you out with Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, and even Adventures by Disney. Just drop by themagicforless.com today. Fill out that free, no obligation quote form, and we'll take great care of you from there. So check them out today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online, beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. That really does help us out. And also thank you to our patrons who support us each and every month. We could not do this without you. And our patrons get a bonus show every week, actually, called Mike in the Midwest. If you'd like to get in on that, come on over to patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Also, you can follow Ricky on the social media at Ricky Nibs. You can follow Pam at TMFLT Pam. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike on Instagram and Twitter. And subscribe to the show on Facebook and YouTube. Just search for the Be Our Guest Podcast. Also, please do give us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. We'd sure appreciate that. And thank you to everyone who has already left a rating and a review. That is very, very kind of you. Thank you so much for that. One more thing. Don't forget, this Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. It's our live call-in show. You can join us. It's you, me, and Scotty G. We'll take your calls and we'll turn another place in Epcot into a sports bar. Basically is what we'll do. No, we won't do that, but we'll talk about the latest news of the week. We'll take your calls and get your feedback and just have a good time. And we'll play 5 and 10, Disney 5 and 10 again, which maybe we'll have to play next week with Ricky and Pam and put them in the hot seat and see how that goes. So we'll try maybe next week. It's a lot of fun. But until we get back together again on Monday, until Sunday night too, when we're live, you guys have a great weekend. So for Ricky and Pam, I'm Mike saying stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Okay, that's fun. Good.
Yay!
It was good.
Fun and informative.
We
It
did
was.
a thing.
We did.
We did do a thing.
0, 5, 6. We'll save us working. We'll duck out of here. Okay. All right. Well, hey,
All good.
good stuff. And we will see you.
All right, see you next week.
Wait, says 5 and 10 is not easy. It is not.
Uh-oh.
That ticker gets you. Okay. I'll see you guys later.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
Bye.